John Bartell here, making a little pit stop from the skies of Lake Tahoe, Wigwam Motel in San Bernardino County. There's more cows than people in Fort Bidwell. It's America's #1 selling root beer. How many steps are we talking?
313 stairs down.
At the Maritime Museum of San Diego, I'm John Bartell. Hope to see you on the Backroads. You're watching Bartell's Backroads. You know, California is a big state, 58 counties in total. So if you're trying to plan a road trip or maybe a vacation, it can be a little tough. I got you though. I broke down the state into 10 different easy to visit regions. And over the next half hour, we're gonna visit each one of those regions. We're gonna start off in the High Sierra, where the sky's the limit, especially if you're riding a hot air balloon over Lake Tahoe. There's only one company in the entire world that launches and lands hot air balloons from a boat, and that company is Lake Tahoe Balloons.
It is. It's the world's smallest aircraft carrier.
This one-of-a-kind boat is known as the Tahoe Flyer. Captain Greg Collard says when it was built in 1992, the design had to be approved by 2 different government agencies.
It's actually inspected by the Coast Guard and the FAA because we do have an aircraft on board.
It takes a lot of heat to inflate a 110-foot tall balloon and lift 10 to 12 passengers. If I wanted to heat my house, how fast could you do it with that?
So 1,500 square foot house from 40 degrees to 80 degrees in 3 seconds. One burner.
Wind directions change at different heights, so in order to steer, Sheldon raises or lowers the balloon by adding heat or letting it out through a hole at the top of the balloon. Throughout the 50-minute ride, passengers rise up and fall down several times. At 5,000 feet, you get this unforgettable view of Lake Tahoe. Then on the way down, you get to experience what's called a splash and dash. It's where the bottom of the basket takes a little dip in the water. Have you ever gotten anyone's feet wet?
I have got somebody's ankles wet one time, but never beyond the ankles.
Well, there's a lot to see in the High Sierra, so we're gonna make 2 stops. Just over the mountain from Lake Tahoe is the Hot Creek Geological Site. The steaming turquoise water billowing out of the ground is known as the Hot Creek Geological Site, and according to geologist Noah Randolph Flagg, you don't want to go swimming in this water.
The way to think about this is very close to boiling temperatures, and sometimes is boiling.
A short quarter-mile path will get you to the hot springs, but take note of the signs warning visitors to stay behind the fence. You can feel the heat from here. 14 people have lost their lives since 1968 because they got too close.
Some of this ground that you see across the way is hot, and some of it is also unstable and you could fall in.
The bubbles and steam you see along Hot Creek drainage are created when snowmelt from the Sierra seeps down through cracks in the Earth's crust. And then that water gets superheated by the 430-degree molten magma below.
And the way that I think to think about this is that when you heat up water on the stove, it rises.
As the heated water rises through the cracks in the earth, it picks up minerals like calcium carbonate, which gives the water its bright blue look when the sunlight hits it. There is a pungent odor coming from that area over there. Pungent volcanic gases also make their way up through the cracks in the earth. Hey, there's fish in there. The dangerous hot springs and Hot Creek are separate from each other. Fish and aquatic life can survive here because when the hot spring and the creek mix, it becomes lukewarm bathwater. Route 66 is known for its roadside attractions, and it runs right through the Inland Empire. If you're looking for a place to sleep on your road trip, I suggest San Bernardino and stay a night at the Wigwam Motel. Well, you won't find rawhide or tent poles in this teepee-shaped motel. The rooms here are far from being culturally accurate. Do you suppose that Wigwams always had air conditioning in there?
Probably.
Route 66 is known for its odd roadside attractions, and before modern interstates bypassed much of the historic 66, wigwam motels just like this one were pretty common. In fact, there were 7 of them across the U.S.
So it was a franchise roadside attraction on Route 66, and this is one of 3 that's left.
Samir says the other 2 are in Holbrook, Arizona and Cave City, Kentucky, but none of them have a 2-story wigwam. Look at that! The upstairs isn't for sleeping. This is where Samir's father, Jagdish Patel, keeps his Route 66 memorabilia.
Yeah, how much have you driven of it?
Oh, I drive in the 3-4 times all the way to Chicago.
Really?
Jagdish bought the place in 2003 because he loves the road tripping history of Route 66, and he also loves meeting travelers like Kevin and Gail Douglas.
Yeah, it's comfortable.
It's really good.
We didn't know what to expect, to be honest.
It's quirky.
Yes, it may be a little quirky, but when you're trying to make memories on Route 66, the Wigwam Motel is an unforgettable place to do it. Now, if you're looking for a great steak or a place to get away from it all, head to the northeasternmost part of California to the Shasta Cascades and spend the night in Fort Bidwell. If you're looking to get away from it all, Fort Bidwell's the place. Located in the far reaches of Modoc County's Surprise Valley, this little town is about as quiet as it gets, except for the livestock. There's more cows than people in Fort Bidwell. No need for a map in this town. If you're looking for the old church, go down Church Street. Want to know where the old bridge is? Turn on Bridge Street. And if someone says, meet me at the Willow Bush, you guessed it, go down Willow Street. They are very literal with their street names here in Fort Bidwell. There is a number of abandoned homes around here, but I can assure you that people do live here. If you're looking for a bite to eat, stop at the Fort Bidwell Hotel and Restaurant for their famous steak dinner. Head cook Peter Newell and Crystal Whittemaker says the beef comes straight from the pasture on the other side of town.
I've got people who will drive over 100 miles one way just to come here and eat.
Fort Bidwell was named after General John Bidwell, and the soldiers stationed here were protecting pioneers on the Applegate Trail from dangers on the frontier. The troops also fought in the Modoc War, California's last Native American war. Then in 1890, Fort Bidwell became an Indian reservation and has been ever since. Today, though, life is peaceful. They don't really have to worry about traffic jams in Fort Bidwell, just not a lot of traffic. It's a different kind of lifestyle in Fort Bidwell, but that's the reason most people come up to the northeasternmost part of California. All right, next stop is the North Coast, which is home to redwoods and roadside attractions like Confusion Hill, which is located in Leggett. If you're looking for a textbook example of an odd roadside attraction, Confusion Hill is it. Pass through the gift shop and enter the Gravity House, and you'll see what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, don't fall on me. Don't fall.
Strange forces of gravity present all sorts of anomalies here. Golf balls roll up the hill, people stand crooked, and getting out of your seat is nearly impossible.
Well, you sit in it and you try to get out of it without using your hands.
Owner Carolyn Campbell has been giving tours of this place since 1997, and she still can't explain what's going on here.
I don't know how to explain it. I really don't.
Confusion Hill was discovered by George Hudson in 1949. After World War II, he visited two other gravity-defying places, the Mystery Spot in Santa Cruz and the Oregon Vortex. George became obsessed with these places that defied the laws of nature, and after years of searching, he found this place along Highway 101, where the trees were a little deformed.
Well, I don't know, the tree is twisted, and that, I think, is from something in the ground here.
You don't have to understand everything at Confusion Hill. In fact, that's the point. It's okay to be perplexed and laugh a little.
I don't understand it.
Now, the Central Valley region is known for its agriculture and rich farmland, and when those farmers get thirsty, they head to Lodi, home of the original A&W root beer. A&W didn't invent root beer, but they did perfect it. Just ask Lodi franchise owner Peter Knight.
A&W root beer is kind of like a fine wine. It's very complex.
A&W was founded by Roy Allen on June 20th, 1919, with the first mug of root beer served at a homecoming parade for World War I veterans. The drink was a success, so Roy Allen and his partner Frank Wright named the beverage A&W Root Beer. A plaque in downtown Lodi marks the first bottled root beer store, but a few years after opening, Roy Allen would turn A&W into America's first franchise restaurant chain. And you've been working for A&W for quite a while?
Half a century almost.
Peter Knight poured his first A&W root beer in 1973 at the age of 16.
Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to start with a frosted mug.
Today, Peter owns 2 A&W stores and trains his employees to make the restaurant's signature root beer float. Today, there's more than 1,000 A&W restaurants worldwide serving up root beer, and the best day to get a glass is on August 6th, National Root Beer Float Day. Just head to Lodi, they'll have a free mug waiting for you. Lighthouses and island foxes. When we come back, we head to the Bay Area and the Central Coast for some seaside sightseeing. Welcome back to Bartell's Backroads. We're exploring 10 different regions in California. If you're looking to get your steps in for the day, head down to the San Francisco Bay Area and take the stairs all the way to the Point Reyes Lighthouse. Point Reyes is one of the foggiest and windiest places in the whole state, and to keep ships along the Bay Area from running aground, it's the job of the Point Reyes Lighthouse to warn them, or at least try.
There's over 70 known wrecks in this area.
When the weather is nice like it is today, interpretive park ranger Fiona O'Kelly opens up the lighthouse for tourists to see. But first, they must travel down a gauntlet of stairs. How many steps are we talking?
313 stairs down.
You counted them yourself.
I have, many times.
The Point Reyes Lighthouse was built in 1870, and up until 1975, it was manned by a real lighthouse keeper.
And this giant first order Fresnel lens sends beams of light out to the horizon 24 miles.
That Fresnel lens that Fiona is talking about is essentially a bunch of magnifying glasses that illuminate the light. And back in 1870, that light was not powered by electricity. Today, however, this solar-powered blinking light and an electric horn does all the work. Automated or not, lighthouses still play an important part in maritime navigation. Well, you don't have to go to Hawaii for an island getaway. California's central coast is peppered with islands, and one of my favorites is Channel Island National Park. This is Channel Islands National Park, a remote, lonely, and protected marine sanctuary. It would be difficult to visit all 5 islands in one trip, but if you want to experience the largest and most diverse of them all, you may want to take a tour of Santa Cruz Island with 20-year veteran park docent Catherine French.
They are made by volcanic activity, but we have no volcanoes that are going to erupt out here.
A mountainous island formed on top of a massive fault line. Santa Cruz Island was actually never part of mainland California. Its rugged terrain isolated nearly 60 different plants and animals found nowhere else on Earth.
But, oh, that one took time. That must be a girl. She took time to pee.
And that also includes the sneaky and fearless Santa Cruz Island fox. That fox has absolutely no manners. Just a warning, if you do decide to camp here, you're going to want to keep an eye on your food, or a fox may just run off with it. Overgrazing and the introduction of invasive species put a big strain on the island's natural plants and animals. As farming became less profitable, homesteads and equipment were abandoned. Today, the island is showing great signs of recovery. Even the surrounding water was protected, helping spawn a great kelp forest that provides habitat for all sorts of marine life, including birds who nest on these oddly colored white rocks.
Well, we like to call it island snow, and people say, really? And we say, no, not really. It's guano, so it's what's left over from what the birds ate.
These poop islands, as I like to call them, are actually scattered all over the place, and they dump lots of nutrients into the ocean. It's not recommended to get too close to them, but you can take kayaks all over the island and see nearby caves and marine life. Submarines and musical roads, there's more to see when Bartell's Backroads returns. You're watching Bartell's Backroads. We're exploring 10 different regions in California. Let's continue our journey down to the South Coast, where you'll find sandy beaches, sunny skies, and stunning ocean views. And if you want to get a unique look at the water, walk down to the tunnels at the Cave Store in La Jolla. Every day, a long line forms outside the Cave Store. It's not because there's a hot sale on souvenirs. Oh no, these tourists are forking out $10 a piece just so they can walk down some stairs.
This is 145 steps, so it is quite a climb.
Cave Store owner Shannon Smith assures me this isn't one of those trendy San Diego workout gyms. These stairs lead to this. Sunny Jim's Cave, an underground window to the La Jolla coast.
If you guys actually look right behind you, you could see a face. And I forget what it's called, but that's a famous face.
The silhouette face that tourist Crystal Jones is talking about is Sunny Jim. You know, the 1920s British cereal box mascot. You ever thought about changing the name? You know, maybe to Shannon Smith?
No, absolutely not.
The name's a little outdated because the cave was dug back in 1902 by German artist and entrepreneur Professor Gustav Schultz. Why, you ask?
There were pirates that smuggled up gold.
Well, that was one rumor that started, but the real reason was this.
There has always been a charge. That's why it was dug, for Professor Schultz's retirement.
When his art business didn't take off, Professor Schultz hired 2 laborers to dig a hole to the ocean under his store. It was a money pit of sorts, except Schultz profited off it, and so did every store owner after him. Want to experience the South Coast Ocean without getting wet? Well, head down to San Diego and dive deep in the submarine at the Maritime Museum. Tethered to the pier at the North San Diego Bay is the USS Dolphin, a research submarine that took Navy submariners to a depth of more than 3,000 feet so they could answer one question.
Is it really good idea for a combat submarine to go really deep?
This is Steve Zoltan Kelty.
Perfectly good to call me Captain Zoltan.
And besides having a pretty cool name, Zoltan was one of the last captains on the Dolphin to learn the answer to that question firsthand.
The Navy found out in the Cold War that deep diving submarines were not their best choice. Quiet submarines were their best choice.
The USS Dolphin was a diesel-powered submarine, meaning it was loud. The Navy ultimately went with nuclear-powered subs, which were much quieter, and turned the Dolphin into a deep-water research submarine.
I hope you guys aren't claustrophobic.
From when it was first launched in 1968 to the day it was decommissioned in 2007, the USS Dolphin accomplished a long list of deep water experiments, including being the first submarine to communicate with a plane and launching a torpedo at the deepest depth.
John, it's the framing that makes Dolphin so tough.
Spaced every 5 feet or so, the reinforced steel frame gave the 151-foot-long submarine the strength it needed. Unfortunately, that frame took up a lot of living space for the 44 crew members.
Half of the crew was in this room, and everybody had an assigned task.
And if those 44 crew members ever had to take a break during their shift, a single toilet shower combo was the place they had to do it.
So there is no reading magazines on here. You better get in and get out.
You do your business quick.
I can see downtown San Diego from here.
With the help of sophisticated surveillance systems, the enemy and the occasional sunbathers can be spotted from miles away.
And so they're sunning themselves on deck, and with your periscope, you can get a pretty good view.
I think I know where the peeping Tom term came from.
Yes,
okay.
Yep.
All jokes aside, the Navy's submarine service is a volunteer service only. That means everyone on the submarine wants to be on the submarine. And when you walk through the USS Dolphin, you can feel the camaraderie. Turn off that radio because this road makes its own music. Next stop, the Musical Road in California's desert region. No, that's not a rumble strip you're hearing. That's classical music. Maybe you recognize the tune?
It's the theme song to The Lone Ranger.
Lancaster's Vice Mayor Marvin Christ isn't wrong. It is the Lone Ranger song, but to be more specific, it's the William Tell Overture by Italian composer Rossini.
It's the first musical road of the United States.
The real question, though, why are those notes imprinted in asphalt?
It was a commercial that wanted to be done by Honda in October of 2008.
The commercial/publicity stunt advertised the Honda Civic. Just one note though, the road you see in that commercial is not the same road people drive on today.
It was a big hit by all except for the residents that lived at 60th and K. They could hear it at night.
The noise complaints were so bad that the city spent $35,000 to remove and relocate the musical road right next to the airport.
If you go 100 miles an hour, it's not going to play the song for you. It has to be 55 miles an hour.
Now, the desert is a pretty big region in California, and just north of the musical road is the alien-looking rocks known as the Trona Pinnacles. Standing tall above the Surlis Valley floor are the Trona Pinnacles, a towering series of alien-looking rocks.
So this is all calcite. Basically everything that we see around here is made of one mineral, and that's calcite.
According to geologist Kevin Schreckengost, the lumpy, spiring rock formations are actually not rocks.
Here, these pinnacles are made of what we call tufa, which is a type of limestone.
Over time, minerals from the mountains made their way down into the ancient lake through underground springs and cracks in the earth. Then, eventually, over thousands of years, the sun evaporated all the water, leaving minerals behind.
Minerals piling on minerals? Is that how it's happening?
Yeah, exactly.
Because of their size and unique shape, the Trona Pinnacles have been featured in a number of movies. Before Hollywood discovered the Trona Pinnacles, the Surlis family found them in the late 1800s.
They were trying to mine for borax.
The tufas are made of calcite, which is pretty much worthless, but the ground around the tufas is loaded with borax and another valuable mineral called trona, which is used in glass making, paper production, detergents, and baking soda. Well, there's just one more region left in our 10-region tour of California. When we return, we head to gold country to do a little spelunking in a real gold mine. Welcome back to Bartell's Backroads. We're on our final region of our 10-region tour of California. You know, early settlers struck it big in California's gold country. And if you want to see the mother lode up close, head to Placerville's Gold Bug Mine. In the late 1800s, Placerville, or Old Hangtown as it was known, was littered with gold mine shafts.
Tens of thousands of mines.
Today, though, tour guide Rich Dvorak says there's only one mine safe enough for tourists, and it's located in Gold Bug Park.
Placerville is the only municipality in the United States that owns its own gold mine.
Owning a gold mine may sound pretty cool, but
is this a profitable gold mine?
It's profitable from the tourist sense, not so much from the gold sense.
For a minimal entry fee, tourists can escape the summer heat or the winter cold and enter the mine where it's a comfortable 52 degrees. Just watch your head.
You definitely gotta duck down here.
The Gold Bug Mine was dug by two miners named William Craddock and John Dench in 1888.
It goes 362 feet into the mountain, and at the back, it's 110 feet down.
That's a pretty deep gold mine if you ask me, but Rich says you can't judge a mine by its depth.
The fact that it took them 16 years to go 200 feet tells me they weren't finding very much.
Well, if you like those California destinations, there's plenty more where that came from. Just head over to abc10.com/backroads and check out our interactive map. There's a list of more than 300 locations. You can create a road trip of your own. And hey, if you got any ideas on where I should head next, just send me a message on my social media. I'm John Bartell. Hope to see you on the Backroads.